Welcome back. Thank you for checking out episode 1 of EV Misfits. Please take a second to leave a comment or review. It really helps us out on Apple Podcasts. And let's jump into it.
Yeah, last week we shared our EV journeys and talked about our first experiences owning an EV. This week we're discussing one of the biggest EV announcements of the year that I think, the all-new Subaru Uncharted. The Subaru released their new EV this week, so I think that we'll spend a lot of time talking about that today.
So, Rob, what did you see in the news this week that really caught your attention?
Yeah, I think for me, it was an email and a tweet from Elon Musk and/or Tesla. And it was really just highlighting how the full self-driving saved the life of a man. And so what happened was this guy was driving home. He was having a medical emergency, either like some shortness of breath, or he didn't feel right. He called his son on the phone, and his son was talking to him and asked him if he had FSD engaged. He did. He was driving with FSD. So the son actually went into the app. He shared his key with his son, so his son was able to go into the app, find a hospital near him, and reroute the car to the hospital, which, most likely saved his life and also probably saved an accident, right? I mean, if someone's having a heart attack or a medical emergency on the road and they're driving, they don't control the vehicle anymore, and it usually ends in an accident. And so the fact that his son was able to repoint the car to a hospital, which helped save his dad's life. So I think that was pretty cool to see. I think it's always neat to see how the technology helps people outside of just driving. What about you, Blake? What caught your eye this week?
Well, there's going to be a free Supercharger challenge, and anything, if it's free, it's for me. And so and it started back in January of this year, and it's kind of
Okay.
like a complete for the whole year. So, like in January 2027, that's when they'll look back at all of 2026, and there'll be like 3 categories that they're going to be judging in, and it's going to be like the longest trip. So that's like the longest continuous streak of superchargers. And yeah, this was right inside my Tesla app under charging. There's like a little notification green dot. I was like, what's this all about? And especially since I've done my road trips, and I'm like, oh, okay, longest trip, sign me up for that one. The next is like the most unique supercharger visits. I was joking with Rob and saying that I want to go to the Waikiki. Like, okay. Uh, so there's a list of different superchargers, a lot of the national
Nice.
parks, and I thought, well, might be something to consider. But halfway through the year, so I'm not sure how well I'll get out to Vegas or something. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
probably going to be doing another road trip to Florida before you know it. But and then the third category is most energy. I guess when you're supercharging, right? I think
Okay.
I did, and I looked at my challenges. It's like 1 megawatt. I've already done 1 megawatt.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
What's that's like 1,000 kilowatts, Rob?
It is. Yes,
Okay.
it's 1,000
So I'm
kilowatts.
probably close to like getting to 2. So working through that. So yeah, it says the highest total energy charged in kilowatt hours. So who
Okay.
knows? I might be up for that. And
Nice. Yeah, you sent me that picture, and I was like, "What is this?" And you said it's in the app, and I went and looked, and the app had updated. I didn't realize there were a few new features in there, and that challenge was one of them. I'm interested to see how much more they gamify
for
the
sure.
FSD
It
and
reminds
charging.
me
I
of
think
like our
that's
Apple Watch challenges. We've always liked that, right? If
yes,
it's a
yes,
certain day or something to do like a run or with 4th of July or some sort of challenge like that that we would get from an Apple standpoint. So I thought, oh, this is neat because you get badges like you do with your Apple Watch.
yep,
And then there's like
neat.
different tiers in there. So yeah, highly recommend check it out.
That's
For
cool. Yeah,
competition, there's different regions. So there's America, Asia Pacific, EMEA. So that's kind of neat. So I may have a chance. Who knows? It might be
yeah. Who knows?
getting some free supercharging. Of course, if you already have free supercharging with the promotions this summer, you don't qualify. But still, it's pretty easy just to participate. All you have to do is kind of get the app open and look at those badges, and so you have to
Yeah.
kind of
So if
be
you didn't know that, and you have
there.
a Tesla, and check the Tesla app under the charging area, and you'll see the new challenge there.
Yeah, so it's
So,
your
so
2026 passport, they're calling it.
awesome. So why don't we go ahead and shift to our main topic, the Subaru Uncharted. You sent me the text earlier in the week that Subaru was releasing a new EV. They currently have an EV, I believe it's called the Solterra, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
uh, which I
Soul
believe is
Train
also
there.
also based off Toyota's older platform, right? and the Uncharted is now on the newer Toyota platform. So again, another manufacturer utilizing the technology of another. Honda did that with the Prologue, and now we're seeing that with Subaru and Toyota teaming up and building the car. But for me, I don't know about you, Blake, but for me, the thing that pointed the most was the starting price at $35,000. That is really a good entry level SUV, crossover, whatever you want to call the vehicle. $35,000 is a good price point, and I think a lot of people could definitely take advantage of that.
Yes, I was kind of tempted. Like I said, I've had the Subaru Outback, we had the Forester, and this being a crossover, it is kind of appealing. It's kind of like a RAV4 body. After we
Okay.
were, last episode, and I would just happen to drive and like, oh my gosh, what's that? And I saw it out in the wild. I haven't got to do a test drive yet. Definitely on my to-do list. I'm hearing it's kind of the similar same charger as the Tesla. So
Yeah, it's on the Tesla network. So that was
okay,
one of the complaints
so
from the original
curious.
car.
Okay.
They were on the CCS charging network, so the EV Go and those chargers. So
I just love right? Just the Tesla charger. I've just been
yeah,
today I was even just, charging at work and just, like, using a regular mobile charger with me and just being able to push the button, and as a new Tesla owner, I'm just really excited about that. So, yeah, similar rights, people enjoy that easiness of using that, and, I mean, the Tesla network is really strong, and, I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's been crowded, but other yeah, you get pretty good what's up to 250 or there's even more in the network for the
through range
high
chargers. Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact number, but
uh,
they're pretty. They're continuing to add more throughout the U.S. So
that 308 range, is that pretty standard, you think?
that's. I think it's decent. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit when we get to the misfit section. Something I want to talk about a little bit is the range and
Is that compared to my
people.
Model Y?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I don't know right off the top of my head what our Model Y has, but definitely
I'm at like
comparable.
50%, and I got 175 miles. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. I'm gonna
I mean,
actually
it's got
look and
fast
see.
charging, I guess, and everything, and like I said, I gotta get in there and I like to check it out. I never even got to check the Solterra out, as well. Or
Ours are 357 miles range, so 357 miles, so a little bit longer, but I'll share that later. I don't want to spoil our misfit section, but we'll
right.
talk about range definitely a little
You
bit
said this is
later.
35,000 starts,
Yeah,
and
entry level.
we were looking at, is there one nearby to go test drive? And, of course, right off the bat, it was like, it's like
Only the 45.
45,000,
Yeah,
plus for all the
yeah.
fully loaded, and so you're back to Model Y prices.
You are, but I think for some people, 35,000 could be enough to get them into the EV market, right? Like,
Yeah,
I know the Model 3 is in the 30s. We had talked about that when you were looking for yours as
sure,
a way to get
right.
into the EV, but I think a lot's going to depend on the gas prices, where we're at, and EV market right now is hot. I think people are looking for them. We'll see what happens if prices return to $2 and some a gallon. That might change
Unless
some of
but
that.
I'm telling you, I was surprised on my road trip seeing 332. Now come to find out that was for, like, E15, I mean to say,
Okay,
gas.
yeah, that's a little bit cheaper sometimes.
And so that was curious that the prices are going down. But again,
So
why would it be like, why would I get a Subaru where I live? Where you live. It's snowy, like, is it,
okay,
and why we've always had the Subarus, we go out to visit the family and they're the back roads and all that, it's gravel
yeah.
roads. So Subarus known for their terrain and they're good driving like that. So I would assume too, if people are familiar with the Subaru brand, they already have one car that's Subaru, like I said, want to get into EV, that's probably a big draw.
Yeah, and a lot of the early reviews that I saw are really comparing it to a cross trek,
Of course,
and it's
nice.
really adventure oriented.
Mhm.
They have all-wheel drive option, the styling of a Subaru. That I think that's for some people entering the EV market. I think the Tesla scares them with like no traditional controls. Everything's on the screen. So this will have a
Yeah,
lot of the traditional controls inside. Will feel more like a gas vehicle almost, right? Like I don't know what the size of the screen is, but I'll be honest. I really think, and I think you're going to talk about this a little bit later too, but I really think it's going to depend on the software of the
well, I
car. I
would
really
assume it's
do.
going to have CarPlay, right? Android Auto.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But will that be enough to
but
compete
didn't you
in the
say,
future?
like, when you had the prologue, that you would sit there and try to figure out the mapping, the whole "Where's the charger at?" What did you were saying about that? I thought, like, because that's what I
I
just love.
found it to be
Yeah,
it was a little trickier, and I had to
trickier
do it in the car,
in the
so there
car.
wasn't an easy way to map from the
Makes sense.
Honda Link app, but,
Oh, cool.
I
Right.
used the if I used the better route planner, I was able to send that to the Apple
Like
Maps, and
the
then it would
Apple
play
Map?
in.
Oh, it would, because Apple Maps, you just couldn't put, like, charger in or
It wouldn't sync. There are some vehicles that will sync up and let you know that let Apple know that it's an EV and would track return and what you'll be like. The nice thing with the integrated software, and even on the Prologue was the same way, is it gives you kind of your mileage at the end, like what your expected mile or expected charge is going to be when you arrive. And so that's helpful for some, right? Like if you're on a trip, like when we left Wheeling, was able to see, do I need to stop and charge or not? What do I want to get home? What charge do I want to be at home? And it will kind of calculate whether you need to stop. I'm heading to Cleveland tomorrow on a little road trip, and I'm trying to figure out like how much do I charge tonight to make sure I can get to 100 at work in the morning before I head out of town. But I think it's just some of those integrated features are nice. Tesla allows you to do it on the phone, which makes it a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, I think almost all the EVs have that some sort of mapping feature that will integrate into the battery. I have a question, Blake. Do you think if Subaru had launched this car first instead of the Solterra, that EV buyers would view Subaru differently in the EV market today?
Well, I'm feeling it's just kind of an evolution of it. So I think they're still in the same Solterra versus Uncharted. Still are just kind of the flavor, a little bit body style difference. I wonder if one is a little bit smaller than the other, like cabin.
Yeah, I
That
haven't seen
but I
cabin
don't
square footage, and I haven't
footage or
seen
anything
wheelbase yet.
that definitely we're just gonna have to take a test drive and hopefully report
Yeah, for
back,
sure.
maybe do a
So
little video or something like that to
yeah,
share.
we'll have a review. We'll both drive it, and then we can talk about our experience driving it, if we can find one in our respective cities to do that in. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be neat. I'd like to see other cars get in the EV market. I think looking at it compared to the Model Y, since that's what we own, if I was going to say where does Tesla win versus Subaru, I would say software beyond any car. I think Tesla has the best software out there. I think Ford may be a close second. I have seen it in the Mach-E, and it is a pretty nice software, but I still think Tesla wins out there. Over there updates. I don't know if Subaru will do that. The big one, full self-driving, it does change the way you drive, and Subaru doesn't have that feature. The integration of the supercharger just being in the ecosystem and the whole ecosystem as a whole, I think that's really where Subaru or Toyota will beat out Subaru, I think. And what about you? Where do you think Subaru could win out?
Oh, yeah, the Subaru, just a if you're a traditionalist, you've always had a Subaru and like you're used to the controls, the typical buttons and all that. It's still gonna have the tech in there as well, that you're gonna need. I mean, like I said, always liked the eyesight, and I always felt safe in my Subaru,
Okay.
and I feel safe with that eyesight that I was telling you that's how I kind of like know that the technology is there to support you. So I think as well as they're really close if they can get their software right, that eyesight, the lane keep assist, and the
Right.
traditional controls for like the cruise control are there, and that's going to be great. And
So
yeah, so
here's a good question for you. I didn't
sure.
mean to cut you off there, but if you were recommending to a friend, I think a friend of yours is looking at an EV now. Would you recommend to take a look at the Uncharted or wait for the Uncharted, or would you tell them to go buy a Model Y?
Tesla all the way.
Yeah, I would agree
Yeah,
with that.
just because the self-driving is definitely just changing my everyday commute, and it's the traffic, and there's just so many variables on the road. I had a little crazy little blip coming home tonight. It was like thinking, should it was a yellow light, and it did like a like, am I supposed to go or not?
Yeah, it
And
was thinking.
it's thinking, and so you have so much data that they're processing. So they're just still got a lot of cars that are in this space for connected to the network, so to speak, to be able to do. So they're not there yet. Subaru's got just a couple cars. So, but if you are a brand loyalist, like to Subaru, it's what you've always had, the Subaru is nearest to you, you're just trying to get into the EV, you can charge at home perhaps
Yeah.
with it, and it's a great value. It's going to last a long time. So, but still, I would definitely just try to at least, especially if you have a Tesla service center near you, just a chance, right?
Yeah. Go
Just
drive one.
go,
If you
go
have never
drive
driven
one.
one, go take a test drive, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, exciting part of this was just seeing another manufacturer release a new EV model. Honda
Sure.
decided not to do that. They backed out of the EV market. They're not going to create any new EVs in the near future. Might might in the future, but they're going to focus on the hybrid role. But it was nice to see another manufacturer put an EV on the road. I really think
Oh,
they're the
yes. I
future of
was so
automotive.
surprised to
Yeah.
right, and just to see, what is that really caught me, so it was I was really glad we could to bring this to light and share it out with our listeners today, because it is an alternative, and Subaru is such a great brand, and they could definitely be getting a lot of things right with it, and so,
Yeah, and one of the things we don't want to do is just
right
focus
on.
all on Tesla, right? Even though we think they're good cars, and they may not be for everyone. So we want to try to bring some news in that's not just Tesla focused. We'll always probably compare to a Tesla because that's what we know and deal with every day. But we will have other talk about other vehicles and different EV models and brands
Yeah, and if
on our
you happen to get
podcast moving
yeah, if
forward.
you share in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. If you've already, bit the bullet and grabbed yourself a Subaru Uncharted or something you've been really looking at, leave some information in the comments so that when we get to test drive, we can something to look out for and share.
So I think it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, the Apple pit stop. And so, I think this year, or this week, I'd like to focus on a question. And
Sure.
that question being, is Tesla becoming the Apple of automotive world?
Well, I'd like to think so because I always wanted the Apple car. I always, when I knew that was a project, I just had hopes that one day, my little emblem on the front, Apple logo. We're such a fan, and so yeah. And I've shared this like when you were talking about getting the Tesla. And we had the
Yeah,
accident. We had the accident, and just like thanks and an opportunity. And it's time. The timing really lined up with the Apple Car project kind
did.
of coming to its close, and let's see what they're doing with CarPlay and other manufacturers, and like making the CarPlay like display much more. I don't know, immersive or just more. Some of this, it's like the whole car infotainment system.
Yeah.
Like was just
Yeah.
not like
The
a little
Lincoln,
screen, right?
I think the Lincoln Aviator
It was the
is
whole
one of the cars that the entire
entire.
dash is a screen. I want to see that. I think it would be cool. I think for me, I think it comes back. A lot of people don't like closed systems, right? Like they criticize Apple because you can't upgrade the laptop. You can't put any software you want on the phone. You have to buy it from the App Store. Some people think you have to jailbreak the device to use it the way it should be used. But I value that. And I value it because it makes sure that the software is safe. It's not going to be cause any viruses or malware to be put on your phone or devices. It's one of the reasons why there's not a lot of viruses out there than on Macs, right? That was one of the remember the old "I'm a Mac, I'm a PC" commercials, and they were talking about that. But Tesla's doing the same thing, right? They're creating the software and the vehicle. And like Microsoft, they don't make computers; they make great software, right? They make the Windows operating system and that, but they don't make I guess they do. They have the Surface and they have some computers, but their focus is being a software company. And I think for Apple, their business is about the experience, right? Like think about it when you unbox an Apple product, right? Like it's like an experience in itself.
Oh
Not
my
so
gosh,
much now that
right?
they've
When I got the
trimmed down,
Tesla,
right?
they roll they did that, boombox thing. It was
Yeah,
like
the light show.
buying it. I told it's like when you open the box and go, "Oh," so it was like
Yep.
that same experience getting the Tesla as so I really do think they've lined themselves up.
Yeah, and I think that's perfect. Like if you look at over there updates, the app experience, the ecosystem integration, the buying process, it's just a
What
different
about the
experience all
service
around.
process? Like,
The service process, yeah, you don't even check in. You just park your car, they come out and get it with their phone and they take it in, conduct service, you pay right in the app. You don't necessarily really even talk to
it's a
anyone. I
genius
mean, you do
car
if
it
you need
was,
something,
right?
but
You would
be like
you'd
the Genius
look there.
Bar. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had to get an alignment shortly after I got my Tesla, and it was pretty cool experience. Something happened during shipping that they needed to do an alignment, but it was a good experience overall. So I definitely think if you were going to look for the Apple of the tech world or the Apple of the automotive world, I definitely would think it's Tesla. I think the innovation's there. I think the creativity's there. I think the secrecy is there. I mean, they're getting ready to release the YL apparently, and
Oh.
it's kind of secret. Like we know it's coming, but we don't know exactly if it's going to be the same as it is overseas in America. So I just think it reminds me a lot of it, and think think Tesla has their own fan club, right? Like people that own them and really like them. And I'm talking about mine a lot, and sometimes I think people will get annoyed how often I talk about it. But what can you do?
Well, like I said, I just love the whole ecosystem myself, and the ability to have the car. They, people are like know that product, like that's what they do all day long as well. When you go in, I really value that, and especially around like the service. Like, I really think that's going to be my for me because I'm going to be going in for the tire rotation. Can you believe I got
Hmm.
7,000 miles already on the
That's
Tesla?
crazy. I'm almost to 5, so
But
you're a little ahead of me.
so yeah, like you said, just be able to go in the app and make that reservation and sit back.
And even get advice. You can tell
Get
them the
advice.
problem. It will tell you some things
Yeah.
to try, which is kind of cool. So, so where are we heading next on the show? I think this is your favorite part, I believe.
Well,
The Misfit
yes,
take. Is
misfit
that your
take.
favorite
Because
part?
now I'm an Apple misfit. I'm a Tesla misfit. I'm an EV misfit at this point. And so, my opinion here, Wait, is these other automotive makers, they don't understand the software. Like I was saying with the Subaru, and you know, the eyesight. It's so good. Why not just let me kind of have some freedom? And then the camera here in the Tesla, that made so much sense. Just put that as well. They're not
Yeah.
doing these updates to the platform. Yeah, they're using Apple's. You can see so right there. They're going outside of the ecosystem. But Tesla's kind of got
Yeah.
this locked down a little bit, so they can tell. Oh, okay, cameras are all here. And then, of course, with the Toyota, that's why I don't have a Toyota Prius anymore. It's because I was never getting any good updates. There was no reason why I could not have just got a free update to CarPlay.
Yeah.
It was a 2018 Prius Prime, one of the top model at that time, and it was maybe 2 or 3 years until Toyota came out just even having CarPlay, and so I don't see why it would have been a big deal. It had a big old touch screen on it, so, I mean, I never got to use the maps, and I tell you, even the messaging system, I could never stand that, and you know how it's like that little voice, the extra
Yeah.
voice? That makes no sense anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I definitely think software is the future of automobiles because for sure, I just think through that, Blake, and saying like you buy a car in 3 years ago and you don't get any new features, right? Like it's the same car 3 years later. Whereas the Tesla, the body's the same, but the software is not. And you're getting the updates like everyone else and all the tweaks, all the pieces. Now, hardware 3 people are still waiting for their 14 FSD, but think I just think it's a different experience. And so not all people care about that. Some people don't care about software. They don't care if their car is up to date, has the latest features. That's fine. But I think as you see the generation shift, it's going to be more focused on that software. The other thing for my misfit take this week, I want to talk about range. And everyone wants to get 300 plus miles of range. They're focusing on that. But in reality, I I don't think. I mean, you've done a lot more road trips than I have, Blake. But like, when are you driving in on a day to day basis? Are you really driving more than 300 miles or 250 miles? I mean, most people's commute, if you're living in a city, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 60 miles, which is 120. Even if you're driving 60 miles, it's still only 120 miles round trip. We're so worried about this full capacity of the battery when the charging ecosystem is really not that bad. You've taken many trips and been able to charge in 20 minutes, and they set it up so you're not I mean, everyone thinks you got to go fill up the charge, right? It's not like a gas car where you have to fill the tank up and then go. You literally are getting you to the next charging spot, right? And so you're going to charge for 25, maybe 30 minutes max, and then they're getting you to the next charger so you can do the same thing again. And get it. I remember the old days where I would just drive straight through and get as many hours in as I could. And I wanted as many miles on that car as I could. But as I get older, I want to take some breaks. I want to stretch a little bit, even walking into the convenience store or the gas station to go to the restroom. Like I don't want to just sit in the car for, 3 or 4 straight hours and not ever get out. Like I want those breaks. So I don't I think if you're continuously driving over 300 miles or even 280 miles, I would reconsider an EV. Like may not be for you yet, but I I just don't know the obsession people have on we need more range because it comes at a cost, right? The size of the vehicle, the way the battery is, the way the car utilizes the energy in the battery. So I just think that, for me, I don't know what others. I'd be interested to see what our listeners think, but the 300-mile range for me doesn't seem a big deal. It's not a make or break. Like I didn't buy the rear wheel drive vehicle because it had more range on it, right? I bought it because I don't think I need an all wheel drive and it was where I needed to be price point wise. So nothing to do. Oh, you get 20 more miles on the charge. Like it's 20 more miles. It's not going to make or break a deal for me. And I think most people who are buying Teslas are buying it for the software. I don't think they're buying it for the range. I think they're buying it for that software and the FSD capabilities. I don't know what you think about the range, but for me, I don't see it as a big deal.
Right, I agree. That's why I got for the software base, and I've already switched my range to percent because I'm more used to that with my phone. So, but
Yeah.
I'm curious what our listeners are will think. What do they think the range is? Why is it? Was there something with psychology that, oh, I wouldn't buy 100-mile range car, or is it, oh,
Mhm.
if it's over 300, people sound like that's kind of a like the Prius Prime. It only got like 25 miles for that charge, so that's like a class of vehicles. And they actually make a Prius Prime that's all it did was like you just charge it, and that's all you got was 25 miles for like in the city. So I was like, well, I don't know why would anybody would buy that, but let us know what you think about
Yeah.
range anxiety, how much range you use each day. Have you had any
Yeah.
trouble? That could help us out with our next episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know that the most searched topic for EVs for potential buyers is range anxiety?
oh,
Did you know that?
okay. No,
It is. So we decided based on that next week we're going to talk about range anxiety. Is it myth or reality? So anything that you want to add or want us to comment on for next week's show, please let us know. We'd be happy to do so. This was fun again. That we're getting a little bit more of a hang of it. Send us your comments, your tweaks, all that kind of stuff because it's all very important. But at this point, I just want to thank everyone for joining us for the second episode of EV Misfits. We're Rob and Blake.
if you enjoyed the show, subscribe, leave a review, and share with other EV enthusiasts. Until next time.
Stay plugged in and driven by curiosity.